Hey, welcome. This is Bring Your Show. My name is Damon Brown. I come to you most Wednesdays and Sundays at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. You can learn more about me and check out the show at bringyourworth.tv. Shout out to y'all that are coming through on Amazon. They're coming through on LinkedIn, coming through on YouTube, and all other channels that I'm forgetting now. But I appreciate your love and support. If you're checking out on YouTube, which is a bringyourworth.tv slot at the moment, you can subscribe for free at bringyourworth.tv or at the link below. All the stuff I'm going to be talking about, all the links that are featured, and all that. Some of them are actually affiliate links, which means I actually get partnership from those particular organizations, but I do verify all of them. And also, in a lot of cases, you guys will actually get a bonus because you're coming through the stuff that I'm representing down below. Anything I'm talking about, all the links are below. There's a couple bonus links too, recommendations that you actually will see just on the YouTube show. That's why you should definitely check out bringyourworth.tv. I'm also author of the upcoming book, The Complete Bring Your Worth. It's a complete series. I can see in the back. You see my mug on the back too. This is a couple years ago, as you can tell, but it's the complete series for man. The Bring Your Worth series began when my second son was born. He just turned 7, so it's 2016. I can see the whole series is there, and you guys made this one a bestseller. Of course, there's Bring Your Worth, which is the name of my business, of course, this show, and then the latest one, Build From Now, which y'all gave plenty of support. The whole series is here. Thank you for the love and support. It's all through my publishing company called Bring Your Worth Publishing. Real original, right? Be sure and check out the book. There'll be some good stuff planned for October 20th. But go and lock it in. You can go ahead and grab it over and on Amazon, over at well, the link below right there. But if you really want to support your local folks, you can go to bookshop.org. I have my own little setup there, just the link below. That will tell you exactly which indie bookstores are in your area. Again, I live in Las Vegas, so all the Las Vegas indies, I can go to bookshop.org and it'll represent those, and I can actually order from them. And because they're part of this collective with bookshop.org, it has a lot of the benefits that you find over at Amazon. So if you want to support your indie bookstore, there's a great way to do that. And if you want to really support the indies, such as myself, go directly to damonbrown.net. I have the signed paperbacks available, as well as Bring Your Worth mugs and the T-shirt, which isn't available right now because I'm actually wearing a robe, which is the reason why we're actually having the show today. We're having a live Q&A, how to relax. If you're familiar with my work, if you've been watching the show for the past 300, we're approaching 350 episodes over the past 2.5 years. So thank you for the love and support. Then you know most of the stuff that I've achieved, created, done as a business coach, as a speaker on different TED stages, as an entrepreneur twice over, even as a stay-at-home dad for my 2 kids who are now 10 and 7. None of this would have been possible without some type of rest or relaxation, some type of break. And frankly, it's been a hectic couple of years for me. Not only because of the pandemic, which I'm sure a lot of y'all can relate to, and ups and downs. We're approaching 3 years into that, actually more than 3 years at this point. See, my sense of time is off. But also as far as just the amount of dramatic change that the whole world's been going through, whether it's climate change, the DEI initiatives, a lot of them that began, with the trauma related to the trifecta of African Americans who were killed at the hands of the police just over 3 years ago. So it was about May of 2020, Breonna Taylor and so forth. Um, just been a lot, and a lot of y'all, I know some of y'all are raising your kids, you're taking care of your elderly parents or elders. You're trying to make an impact on the world. Some of y'all coach with me, and you know how hectic it is, particularly if you're in one of the majority minority categories, which I fit into a couple of them. If you're going to be in the game, if you're going to stay in the game, if you're going to make an impact on culture, you have to find a way. Shout out to the Nat Ministry. You have to find a way to rest, because a lot of the challenges that we have in our world today, a lot of the systems, they're designed so that we don't rest. Certain aspects of capitalism, definitely some aspects of supremacy. You can pick your supremacy, you pick your poison. A lot of those are built so that those of us that do not fit into certain categories, those of us that are othered, aren't allowed to rest. So again, shout out to Nat Ministry and other folks like that. Me actually having a robe on in the middle of the day and then picking up my kids in an hour or two and actually playing Legos with them and being fully present for them, that in itself is an act of rebellion. And so, if you're going to make an impact in the world, as I talked about in my latest independent book, Built From Now, which is, of course, included in the Bring Your Earth collection, if you're going to make an impact in the world, you have to find a way to create solace. Otherwise, you're going to be tired out before the fight even begins. And so, with that context, you have to find a way to rest. And that's how you're going to get your energy back up. Today, a lot of the items I'm going to talk about, a lot of things I'm going to talk about are related to ways that I rest and ways that I'm able to recuperate from, different challenging things that I deal with. And I'm sure you deal with too. So let's get into it. First one is the obvious one. It is the robe. I am rocking the Riley 4-layer robe. Shout out to Laura and a few of my other friends. You know who you are, who recommended this robe. I want to say it was about a year ago. Had to be sometime last year. And I was like, look, I'm in a robe since I lived in, well, I did live there, since I was in college. That was a long time ago. You can tell by the grays. And I'm like, I need a grown man robe. Like I need a robe. And this was recommended by quite a few of my friends. This is actually a 4-layer robe. It feels nice and silky. I was able to get it on a nice discount. I had when I looked up the link to Riley, and I like all their products and I support them. They're a good company. When I went to look up the link so I could share it with y'all, I realized how much of a discount I got on this robe. And so they have really good sales. I think I got this robe for more than 50% off. So the things that I'm highlighting here, you're not required to break the bank. In fact, in some cases, for a lot of us, money is actually a stressor. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't spend money and or take care of ourselves. For me, this is a really simple accoutrement that if I'm having a long day or I like taking baths or if I'm taking a nap and I'm just getting up, I'm just getting my day started. And I usually start my day pretty early in the morning so I can get my kids out the door, all these different things. This is like that slight touch that feels good, that allows me to feel centered. Now, I don't think this one's available on Amazon. I think this joint is just available through Riley. I have the link down there. Again, I'm part of their affiliate program, so I get something out of it, but I think you guys also get a discount out of it. So again, I want to be upfront about that. And I think they have some sale going on when I checked on them earlier this week. But you can check it out. I think for new people, I think they end up giving 15 to 20% off if you never bought from there. Take advantage of that. I know I did. Again, I was looking at my old receipts. I was like, wow, there's a good opportunity here. I think this kind of stuff is important because you have to do you as far as what makes you feel good. For me, it's a nice, comfortable robe that just calms me the F down. It's like me walking around in a blanket like I did when I was a toddler. It just calms me down. What are the things that calm you down? I think that's a really important question. And if there's some type of item or there's some type of idea that calms you down, let me know in the comments. I had some tech issues earlier today, so I was not able to get the questions in there. So I'm actually going to put that question in there right now. Thank you for indulging me, as my technology had another another thing that it wanted to do instead. So, when life is like that, it's like, what are you gonna do? Here you go. What calms you down? Is there a particular item? Is there a particular song? What makes you feel good? You know what I mean? And and I think the important part of it isn't again about spending the money or wilding out or oh, I have to do this and that and this complex thing. It's more about, well, thank you. Thank you for waiting because my technology again had its own thing in mind today. And so it's important to know what calms you down, what gets you to where you need to be. Because again, I gave like a really brief description as far as all the things I've been juggling. And the thing is that to quote Seth Godin, shout out to Seth, whatever you're trying to do, it's not going to get easier, right? So if you're trying to start a business, if you're trying to make an impact in the world, it's not going to suddenly get easier tomorrow because we get older. Usually our responsibilities increase, things of that nature. Aside from kids and they grow up, aside from that, for the most part, our responsibilities just increase as we get older, right? And so, and it depends on the situation with the kids. And so it's important for you to know what those triggers are in a good way to get you there. My robe is part of me getting there. Me meditating, and I'm looking at my meditation mat right now. Me meditating is getting there, and I'll share some links to some previous episodes where I talked about all these different things. Right, part of that vibe. If you want to check out a previous episode, another live, which I think I did, I want to say about a year ago, is travel without leaving home. I'm really into traveling. I've seen a lot of the world. I want to see a lot more of it. Luckily, I saw a lot of it, before everything kind of shut down a few years ago. And for me, that's part of how I find and create peace because it gets me out of my element. It gets me out of, excuse me, whatever challenges or intense things are happening in my life. And it's not a matter of like running away from them because they're still going to be there. You know what I mean? But it's more about what are you doing to actually find peace within the environment that you're in. One of my favorite, there's a bunch of stories that talk about this, but some of my favorite stories talk about how there's the guy or gal who goes halfway around the world, climbs this remote mountain in Tibet to find out the meaning of life, from a monk who's been isolated. And the monk says you need to find that meaning of life back where you came from. In other words, it's not a matter of you, let's say, running away and then not dealing with whatever's happening at home. It's about you getting objectivity about what's happening at home and then coming back. And when you come back, you find a positive way to deal with it. And that represents something, I think, a little bit different than the average take as far as I need to get away, I need to escape. It's like, well, maybe there's a way that you can do it within your home too. All right. So my next recommendation, and this one's actually available on Amazon, is the Illuminate Life candles. For some reason, that just, and shout out to the startup. They're doing wonderful, wonderful folks. Just I can never get the words out of my mouth. These candles are pretty cool, and I'm gonna actually open one up because I just got this one. I've had a few. Shout out to my wife because she actually got them. So they're about this big. These are not baby candles. They're about this big, and each one has a particular theme to it. This one is recharge. I'm in my robe. I can definitely use a recharge. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it honest, as the kids say. And so this one's called Recharge. And what it is this one is actually citrine. So it's like citrus. It's crystal infused scented candle. So however you fall on crystals, that's fine. That's okay. Whatever you represent. These smell really good though. And my wife actually had a couple of them and she wasn't rocking with them. And I was like, I'll rock with it, see what's going on. I'm more the candle person in the house. And I went through them like a mug. So it's a couple cool things about these. The first thing is that they come with really long matches. Keep away from the kids. I certainly do with mine, which makes it super easier, a lot easier to go ahead and light them. The second part, let me go and take this guy out. Try not to break it. Is that they're nice meaty candles, but they also have the crystals at the top. And I'm going to attempt something that I coach keynote speakers. I tell them never do something on camera. But guess what? I'm going to break my own damn rule. Let's see, like this. There we go. Live demonstration. Where else are you going to get this entertainment? There we go. And look, the house is still up. That's fantastic. My wife and my kids will be pleased. And so it rocks like this. These actually last, if I can get the words out, these actually last quite a while. And so I had recharge, I had energy, and I might have had a third one. And again, I got them for my wife. And I think this joint, the recharge, I want to say like several weeks, definitely a month. It lasted a minute. And I rock with them. If you coach with me, you'll see me with a candle over here. Got some type of candle. I ran out of candles. It was a shame because I was using like no shots at them because they just went out of business. But it was like the Bed Bath and Beyond candles, and I was like, wow, I need to set my game back up. It's kind of like having really good coffee, which we're about to get into. It's like once you have good coffee, you're not going to be rocking with the Maxwell House. I want to put this down before I burn myself. Right? What's up? What's going on, Carlos? I appreciate the comment. Right, totally. Thank you. See, there you go. There you go. Shout out to Carlos. He actually has an awesome YouTube channel. Be sure and check him out and click on the link down there because it should be in the comments. Feel free to put the link to your channel in there, Carlos, because I think you're doing some really fun stuff within the. I'm not sure if you look at it like this, but I look at it almost like the sociology space as far as how people interact, which I absolutely love. He's doing amazing stuff. So shout out to Carlos. Thank you. And shout out to the Sage. Shout out to the Sage burners out there. I've gotten to that level. I just rock with the candles. If you're interested in, like Carlos was talking about, getting more centered, be sure and check out the live show that I did a handful of months ago about how to get centered today. I talked a little bit about some of the equipment. There's more equipment based today. So it's more of the different gadgets and things of that nature. But on this live show that I had, again, click the link below or click the link in the comments. I actually talk about the process of them. And it's way more based on practice, on theory, practical theory, and on books. So if you're a bookworm like me, again, my 27th book is about to come out. So if you rock with books like I do, you see the big bookshelf behind me. It's not for decoration. If you like books and you like reading like I do, be sure and click on the link. You can learn more about that, you know. Shout out to my robe. Thank you. Well, you might be, for folks that are coming in late, it's the Riley robe, and I rock with it. Oh, man. All right, so now we're going to talk about the opposite of big robe energy. I think I need a hashtag there. Feel free to throw one in the comments, and that is coterie. I'm mispronouncing it because I think it's from India, and I should know better since I have a lot of people over in India. Coterie single origin coffee sampler pack. Listen, I was not a coffee drinker until let's say I was a lot older. Let's put it like that. And it wasn't until I had been to Paris. I think I've been to Paris twice at that time. All these other places that have good coffee. And it wasn't until I went down to Bogota, Colombia. Shout to the Colombians out there. Suddenly the little accent comes out. Shout out to the Colombians out there. And I went down there first as a journalist. And then a few years later, I came down there as a keynoter. Thanks for having me down there, y'all. And I fell in love with coffee. And suddenly Juan Valdez, who I grew up with, was my man. Look up Juan Valdez, kids, if you don't know who he is. And you'll learn a little bit more about Colombia and how it infiltrated our culture back in the 80s. Anyway, it ended up being fantastic. I became a hardcore coffee drinker. Not every day, but I'm like black coffee, strong coffee, et cetera, et cetera. This joint is interesting because it's actually a sampler pack of coffees from different parts of the world. So I got my behind on a plane. Let's get dramatic here. See, it's all about the show and tell today. I got my behind on a plane and went to, Colombia, went to Iceland, went to Japan a couple times, like the whole nine. I did that. And then that's how I tried their stuff, which I highly recommend, particularly as things start to get a little bit safer. And if you're ready to travel, please go. Please go. Especially if anything over the last few years, we've learned that wherever we want to go, it's not guaranteed to be there. Quite literally. Shout out to my folks in Maui. It's not guaranteed. Like it's not guaranteed. But this is a great opportunity. If you are at home, if you got little kids at home, even if you have certain physical challenges or limitations, whatever limitations might be, where you can't get there, this is a great way to sample around the world. It looks fascinating. I can't remember how many are in the sampler pack, but it's quite a few. If you're watching on Amazon, you'll see a link to it on there. You can also click the link here in the YouTube channel and see what's going on with that. So cheers to that. Now, the coffee I'm actually drinking, there's a bonus one because you're not going to see it down below if you're on other channels, but on the YouTube channel, bringyourworth.tv, you'll see the link in there. I'm actually drinking Saigon coffee. So this is actually my favorite coffee. There's a big story behind it, but the short version is that my wife and I started our family over in San Diego. We lived there for several years, and they have a farmer's market. Shout out to Hillcrest Farmers Market. And it wasn't too far from our neighborhood. We walk over there from when she was pregnant to all the way to when our second kid was in the papoose in front of me, like that period of time. And they had these little stands for Saigon coffee where they talk about here's the coffee, here's where it's from, of course, from Vietnam, and then how you can actually make Vietnamese iced coffee with it. And then they have these little coffee shots. No alcohol, just little coffee shots. And as I started to drink coffee, which came in handy after I had kids, it was around the time I started drinking coffee, then I started like rocking with them. And they'd see me and my wife, and they'd see me and my wife, and then my first kid. And then, of course, over the years, it was a handful of years, then they see all four of us. And so I still order from them now, even though we haven't lived in San Diego in several years. You know what I mean? And it's such an important part of figuring out what your vibe is, what feels good, and what tastes good. One of the things that I really get, see, there you go. See, coffee for some folks is a moment of zen. And for some folks, it makes them hyper. For me, it chills me the hell out. But, it wasn't until I was into adulthood, well after grad school and all these periods of time where I actually could have used coffee. It was a period of time where I actually could appreciate coffee. So shout out to Saigon Coffee. Actually, I need to hit you guys up because I need another pack. But I love supporting them. They're a family-run company, and I love their work. And at this point, my eldest just turned 10. So I've been rocking with these guys for more than 10 years. So shout out to Siamese Coffee. I'm sorry, Saigon Coffee. I am tongue twisted today. Must be the coffee. But it's really good stuff. Very strong, lots of flavor. Enough so that I have it shipped to me from San Diego, and I don't live near San Diego anymore. Again, shout out to Coterie Coffee as well. You can check them out. I think they might have a sale going on too, but it depends on the time of this recording, or at the time of this recording. It depends on when you watch this. So be sure and check it out and see what's happening. Excuse me. When it comes to getting centered, it's, again, deeper than just, I'm going to go to an ashram and, again, chill the hell out for a year. If you're not, that's not going to help you if you don't have some type of alignment to something. And it could be a higher power. It could be a higher purpose. It could be how you want to, bring your worth. There needs to be some type of situation there. One way to start is checking out the live program I had, again, about a year ago. This one was about a year ago, about improving your inner peace. And even with my meditation, there's I meditate. I just took a nap. Like, I was trying to practice what I preached today. Yeah, my family's healthy. I'm healthy, all those different things. And there's still a ton of different stressors that are there. And so if you don't have that North Star, you could have everything in the world and be grateful for everything in the world. But if you don't have that North Star, it's going to be really difficult for you to find that inner peace. That's what I talk about in the show. Um, yeah, it's pretty deep. But if you feel like you need a vacation or you can't handle things anymore, it might not be practical to wait for life to slow down enough so that you can take care of yourself. It might be that life will get better when you do find a way to make sure that you're okay. Hopefully that makes sense. On that note, what did you do for yourself today? Like right on air, I've done like three things. So it's middle of the day. I'm rocking a robe. I'm drinking my favorite coffee. Again, shout out to Saigon Coffee. And I lit a candle and I'm chilling. You know, I could take another nap. I would love to. But what have y'all have done for you, yourselves today? I think that's such an important point. And think about it. Throw it in the comments. Let me know what's good. You know. All right. Another recommendation. Excuse me. Gift to snack, 40 count snack box care package. Shout out to my mother. When I heard about this, number one, I was thinking about my kids who they're eating us out of house and home, as my grandmother used to say. Rest in peace. Because they love snacks. They'll have dinner and then be ready for like three snacks. I don't know. My folks tell me I was the same way, but that was a long time ago, so I can't remember what it was like as a kid. But my mother would send me care packages when I was away at school in undergrad, like freshman year. And we're originally from South Jersey. Shout out to Camden. I was born in Atlantic City. And she would get like tasty cakes and other things that are staples over in Jersey. Still around now. We were just in Jersey a few months ago. They're still representing. And I mean the good tasty cakes, not the ones that you necessarily get in the Midwest or elsewhere, but the good ones. And she'd have them shipped to me. This reminds me of that vibe. I know a lot of y'all that I coach, you have kids that are way older than mine. They're not 7 and 10. They're like, 17 and 20. And they're going away to college. They got their apartments on their own. They're, traveling the world. I know some of you guys have kids that are traveling right now. I love this package because it's basically doing what my mom did for me. So it's a way to basically say, I know you're hungry. If it was like me, an undergrad, you're probably broke. Here's some snacks, whatever. 40 count is pretty big. And what I liked about the snack pack is that there weren't duplicates of anything. So it's literally 40 snacks. And so you can have a different one. What's that? 4 weeks? 5 weeks? Don't let me do any accounting today. 5 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks. Let's just say a month and a half worth of snacks. If your kids or even you eat like I do, it might be a couple snacks a day. If you eat like my kids do, it might be 3 or 4 snacks a day. But at least you got 10 days worth of snacks. Rock with them, check them out, see what's happening. Related to that, kind of like what I was just talking about, see a pattern here, and this will all come together towards the end, is there are ways to eat internationally, again, without you having to leave the home. I think that's such an important thing. And some of my coaching clients and other people that I really truly respect, and in some cases even care for, they have certain limitations, or with all the stuff going on in the world, you can pick one. They're like, I'm not leaving the house right now. Guess what? I don't blame you. Again, I'm in a robe with a lit candle, drinking coffee. But if you're not going to leave your house, that doesn't forbid you, excuse me, coffee's kicking in. That doesn't forbid you from eating internationally or connecting with other cultures. I talk about this all in here, how to eat internationally. There's actually a classic, quote unquote, live episode. It's one of my first live episodes. I want to say April or March. Well, you can tell me if you want to click on it, but it was like April or March, really late winter, early spring of 2020. And one of the things that we were dealing with at the time, and still dealing with, but this was shortly after we all went into sheltering in place here in America. And for a lot of us, including me, it was a tough period of time. Not because we thought it was unfair, more because we're used to traveling. And I'm a keynote speaker. There's at least a couple conferences I go to every year where I connect with my people, all of the other stuff. And suddenly that was just, it went off like a spigot. I was traveling, and as I talked about in the show, I was traveling in February around Valentine's Day of that year. And then by St. Patrick's Day, about a month later, everything was shut down. So it was very sudden and it needed to happen. And also, it was tough. This episode talks about that and talks about a lot of cool stuff beyond just the gift snack pack type of idea, but a lot of cool stuff that would work really well for you connecting to other cultures if you can't get out the house. And I think that's such an important part of it. My last question for the Q&A would be, hopefully my technology works here. Okay, there it is. Disappeared for a second. What are you looking forward to? This is a key one. In fact, I end up using it a lot in my coaching practice because, yeah, we might be quick to make goals and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna become a millionaire in 5 years. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Or I'm gonna publish this book by next year. Might be challenging, but you can figure it out. Like we seem to be okay, like making goals, excuse me, and setting them in certain ways. And that's one of the things I work with folks as a business coach is like, how can we set these goals, and not a matter of having realistic goals, quote unquote, but making them based on milestones and maybe getting to the core intention of why you're setting those goals. What we talk less about is what are we actually looking forward to? What are we actually looking forward to? And how can that propel us into the future? Yeah, thank you, Tamem. Yeah, that's a wonderful question. Of course, I've been having a lot of anxiety about my future. How can I relieve that? Yeah, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. I think there's a couple things you can do. The first thing is finding someone or a group to talk to about that. And it could be a group of one, whether it's, there's a stack of journals that I have around my desk, and you might see something behind me. My shoulders are getting pretty big as I get older, so they're over here. But the journals and all that stuff, finding a way to talk about that, because that leads to number two, which I was kind of getting at. So really good timing with your question is actually having something to look forward to. But one of the best ways you can have something to look forward to, or let me rephrase that. I use my hands. Let me put my coffee down. That's why I'm awkward right now. If there's something you're anxious to get to, like some part of your life being over or some stress that you're under that you're trying to get from under, documenting it in some way will help you understand when you actually get there. I looked forward to talking to 100 of y'all on YouTube. Now there's tens of thousands that I'm talking to right now. If I didn't recognize that part of the journey, I wouldn't even realize when I actually got what I wanted. Because when you're actually on the journey, you're just going day by day. You might be struggling right now. I get it. I have my struggle stuff too. I respect it. One of the ways you can recognize when things are getting better is by actually documenting how things are. So if you're having a shitty day, then document that you're having a shitty day. So then when you have a pretty good day, maybe it'll feel a little bit better. And unfortunately, there's no simple answer to feeling anxious about the future. Sometimes that's more of a feature rather than the bug. That's part of, in some ways, how we are as humans. If it's serious anxiety, you feel like need support and help, then definitely get a doc's help, get a therapist or a psychologist that can help you get on your way. If it's some manageable anxiety, which is more what I deal with, as an old therapist said, it's more situational anxiety versus permanent anxiety. So sometimes you're anxious for a reason. That's a little bit easier to deal with than if something is actually off balance and you're anxious for no apparent reason. Those are two separate things. If you're anxious about a certain situation, which is what I know way too much about, if you're anxious about a certain situation, a situational anxiety, again, one of the best things you can do is document where you are and where you've been. And then when you check in a few weeks from now, a month from now, maybe even a year from now, you actually see how things have changed and how things haven't changed. And that could be a proper gauge for you to figure out how you can settle yourself. I also recommend, in the other episodes I talked about, this is one that I recommend as far as improving inner peace, which I think that's when you chimed in with your question. I talk about a lot of these types of things and go way deeper. I have another one on here as far as how to get centered today. And it's a much deeper conversation in regards to what you're talking about. I'd say one other thing too, which I mentioned, I believe in the how to get centered today one, is figuring out those little things that actually give you joy. And for me, joy is just being present. Like what snaps you into being present, right? Uh, in a safe way. Like me having a cup of coffee with you guys, aside from the caffeine, like the what it does to my taste buds. How I, as I shared with you a few minutes ago, how I know the origin story of that period of time in my life when my babies are being born and then taking care of them, and all that gets taken back to this period of time. Like it all goes back to that. To the robe reminded me of when I was a toddler and I used to carry my blanket around, even though I'm far from that. Those are those little micro moments of joy that bring you back down to earth. So no matter how much I feel, the more situational, hopefully that part is clear. The situational anxiety I might feel about I don't know, 10 things that I could worry about right now. There's certain things that I can do, even just for a second, that bring me back down to earth. And so maybe you can find those things, if you haven't already, those things that bring you down to earth safely. And that's my best feedback on that. So I appreciate your question, and good luck as far as processing the anxiety that you have. Sometimes anxiety is warranted, again, based on the situation, and then it's more about managing it. And sometimes anxiety isn't warranted, and you need some outside help. There you go. I hear you exactly. You see, Mr. Coltrane over in the background. He's there for a reason. So, shout out to you. Listen to as much music as you can. Get those things that bring you back down to earth. So, thank you, Timon. My last recommendation is the Delta Gold card, which might sound weird, but actually ties into the question that I'd asked. What are you looking forward to? As I've talked about way more than I was expecting to in the past, what's it been, 45 minutes or so, is how much I enjoy traveling and connecting with other people and things of that nature. There are two trips I'm looking forward to already. One will likely be a family trip. We're still trying to work that out. Another one is me reconnecting with really good friends. And I'm approaching that period of life where we have to like plan that stuff. So I think I'm officially approaching middle age, if not already middle age at this point, right? Where it's like my other friends, it's like, all right, let's get together once a year and let's do this and that and let's connect in this way. Because as you get older, and maybe even when you're younger, but as you get older, you have to work harder to have those connections, to keep those connections. And then because there's so much life, like if I had 48 hours in a day instead of the normal 24, I still would be tired. I still would have a long to-do list. That's what life is, at least for me, being a very active parent, being married, having a household to take care of, having the 3 or 4 businesses that I own. Like It's a lot. And so I look forward to these types of things. I travel a lot. If any of y'all know me, you know I rock with Delta hard. So I used to you regularly fly with other organizations. They should not be named. I don't rock with them anymore. But over the past 10 or so years, since my family really started, Delta is the one for me. They have a really interesting DEI program. They've actually done a lot of contributing to different organizations and things that I believe in. And their customer service is fantastic, et cetera, et cetera. There's a long list of things. I don't want to turn into the points guy. Shout out to Brian, but that's his job, not mine. My whole point is that if you're going to have something to look forward to, at least for me, one of those things is travel. I rock hard with the Delta Gold card. It's the lowest out of all their cards, so it's very, very reasonable, and it also gets you free baggage. You get in the airplane a little bit faster. I think it's called Main One at this point. They keep changing the names. Main One, and you get Boku points. Shout out to the 70s babies. You get Boku points for all the different things that you put onto it. One of the things I want to talk about, and I mentioned it briefly with the coffee segment as well as the Riley one, is that all these things are not super expensive. But if these are things that are going to put you out of your financial comfort zone, or you're going to be stressed out when you buy them, then don't rock with it. It's fine. I got this robe because I got into a period of time in my life as an independent creator, as a business person, as an entrepreneur, as a coach, where I could afford a Riley 4-layer robe. I didn't have this robe when, I was broke in Chicago straight out of grad school. Again, I didn't have a robe for years. So whatever you do, including the gold card, make sure it's within your limits, because the whole point is for you to relax, not to stress yourself out about the ways that you relax. This coffee, as of this recording, costs about $11 or $12 a bag, which is fairly expensive. But I was rocking the other coffee when my finances were at a different place. And that's okay. So you find, if you need to go to TJ Maxx or to Marshall's, which are really popular here in the United States, and you need to get a robe there, do that. Do that. I'm including that and with the credit card as well. So you got to rock with it. Hey, what's going on? I hope this is useful to you. Always good to see your face. And so I think it's important to go and find ways to make things to look forward to, and then also to find ways to do so within your means. My family and I can afford to go see my family later on this year. I and my friends can afford to connect once a year. There was a period of time in all of our lives where we couldn't afford to do that. If you're going to do that, do it in a strategic way. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. That's why I'm a business coach. I love strategy, doing a strategic way. If you're going to be traveling, make sure you do it on through a credit card, if that fits your finances, or in a certain way where you actually get something back from it. When I book these flights to see family or to see friends, then I'm getting money back from it. Then I'm getting points. Then I'm getting upgrades, all this other stuff. I've had status for a few years now with Delta. Make sure it's a strategic thing versus a random thing. And then to reiterate, I think I shared this one earlier, travel without leaving home. There's a bunch of ways you can do this without having to get on a flight. As you see me lining up, I'm looking forward to the couple of flights that we're going to be booking in the upcoming weeks. That's something to look forward to. That's energy that you can put forward, and you can find solace in that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with leading into the future. Now, again, I still got to pick up my kids from school. I still got to do the mortgage. Like, there's all these different things that still need to be done. But there's nothing wrong with saying, spring of next year, I'm going to be doing this. During the holidays, I'm going to do this. There's a beauty and a simplicity to that. And if we know we have something to look forward to, then it gives us some almost like credit from the future. It gives us some energy from our future self to get through today. That feels like a good note to end on. Thank you so much for rocking with me. All the different quotes below quotes You tell them a former journalist. All the all the different links are below to teach you and talk about how to relax now. Shout out to Tamin and all the other folks that came through to share your comments and your advice. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate every one of y'all. Again, the new book is called The Complete Bring Your Worth Collection, coming out October 20th. All the links are below. You can get it on Amazon, get it at your favorite indie bookstore through bookshop.org. You tell it's time for me to get off the air because I cannot say anything right now. Bookshop.org. And lastly, you can go and get a signed copy from my little hands over at damonbrown.net. All the links are below. Again, appreciate y'all. Take a nap today if you can. Drink some coffee. Get yourself to wherever you need to be so you can fight another day because we need you. All right? Remember that you always bring your worth and that you can always build from now. You take care of yourselves and please relax today.